Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to be with you here in London. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Maybe you could just begin with a brief introduction to Agatha All Along for people who don't know what they're going to expect when they get into the show. What's in store for them?
Yes. So Agatha All Along is a spin-off of WandaVision, and it is centered on Agatha Harkness. And at the top of the show, we find her without power. Wanda had taken all of her power, and she's sort of at zero. And the show is about her going on a quest with a sort of ragtag coven to try and get her power back.
And I sort of love the idea that, Agatha Harkness, she's there in the comics, but not necessarily, leading her own storyline.
Yeah.
At what point in the making of WandaVision did you realise how much there was this fan appetite to see more of this character?
Yeah.
Pluck her out the shadows and let her lead her own show.
Yeah. It's a point of pride of ours that she is the only Marvel character to get her own property, having never had like a run in a comic that is her own. That feels really special and also very kind of witchy that she conjured that for herself. I had no thoughts of an Agatha show during WandaVision. WandaVision was sort of a surprise in every way, and it wasn't until much later, after WandaVision had aired, Marvel invited me back to develop something for them. There were a couple ideas of what the thing could be, and I was sort of developing different things and chatting with Kevin and with Brad Winderbaum about what to do, and all roads led to Agatha. Like everything that I developed had like an Agatha episode or an Agatha storyline, and eventually Kevin just said maybe the show should be about Agatha, and I was like, yes, that.
And it does feel like Catherine Hayne, as she just embodies this character.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sort of the tone, that sort of dark comedy, drama comes from her, but also the fact that the character sits on this spectrum from kind of protagonist to antagonist, you know, kind of this really complex villain. Why was she so integral to the character, and how did you develop it with her?
I mean, yeah, so when we cast her for WandaVision, we knew that she would be able to do the sort of nosy neighbor thing in her sleep. Like, that is her bread and butter, that ability to do the sort of the comedic best friend who's like, where there's sort of like a little exaggeration to the performance. And of course, we knew from her dramatic work that she would be able to play the actual Agatha Harkness underneath the sort of sitcom Agnes. And so, working with a performer who has that much in her bag of tricks, it's not only, a delight and a gift, but it's like a motivator. It's an engine, because it's like, well, if she can do all these things, then we better write material where she can showcase like every single one of her tricks. And that was a guiding light for us in the writer's room. It's like, it's gotta be worthy of Catherine and her abilities.
And in terms of the takeaways from the show, I mean, I guess some people might still associate Marvel with being quite male-heavy, this sort of classic idea of the superhero, both with WandaVision and then this spin-off show. I just love the fact that it feels quite experimental, really leaning into the female experience, all of these kind of like complex but playful characters. Is that something that means a lot to you, that you've produced the show and sort of making that mark in this universe?
I mean, yes, it's, I always write for women. I'm fascinated by women. I can't help it. It's my path in the world, and it's the people that I love, and so it's very gratifying, especially when fans are clamoring for it and love it and express how meaningful it is to them. I just think generally the shift in pop culture is centering POVs that we haven't seen before, and that's just like, yes, more of that. Just like, let's center people and understand the human condition in that way.
And also just the aesthetic of it. And I love how with WandaVision it was almost celebrating, the golden age of sitcoms, and this is almost the golden age of fantasy filmmaking, and almost not using effects, but like making everything, for real. So was that also really key to the project?
It was. So it was kind of early that we thought, could we be a practical only show? Our executive producer, Mary Lavanos, was like really on that train, and she did an enormous amount of research into, matte paintings and that kind of thing. And she got me excited because, my favorites as from when I was a child are Neverending Story and Labyrinth and, Dark Crystal, that kind of thing. And then, and Kevin was very easy to convince that this was a good idea and it would distinguish the show. That it was not only was it right for the content, but that it would make it singular. And so he was very much on board. It was so hard to do. Practical effects are so hard, but it was very gratifying, and it also enhanced the performances because by and large, the actors were acting with a real thing in 3D space, and it's so fun to do it that way.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. And it's just such a wonderful show, so huge congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Lovely to meet you.